And welcome to your Sunday morning. Welcome to another live extravaganza of the Sean Starr Show right here on YouTube.com. Thank you so much for spending some of your Sunday morning with me. Certainly greatly appreciated. Lots and lots of comments already in the aftermath of the Montreal Canadiens skating off with a 5-2 win over the Ottawa Senators as Ottawa moves to their fourth consecutive loss. Looks like the Ottawa Senators have a couple of issues, one of which seems to be, once again, ugly goaltending rearing its ugly head. The Ottawa Senators have lost 4 in a row, and they've conceded 19 goals over that stretch, and they got burned 5 times by the Montreal Canadiens. Brendan Gallagher with a goal and an assist. Sam Montembeault back in goal, fresh off of his nice-looking suit in the Four Nations final. Back in goal for the Habs in a 25-save effort as Montreal goes to the nation's capital and dumps the Senators in a 5-2 final. Cole Caulfield's on 27 goals. Patrick Laine scored his 11th power play goal of the season. Josh Anderson finally scores. We spoke about him yesterday. And most importantly, bigger than the win, bigger than the 5-burger the Canadiens put up on the road is the game Juraj Slafkovsky had. He also scored for the Canadiens while the captain had a 2-point night as Nick Suzuki finds himself falling off the pace a little bit. He's got 54 points after 57 games. Tim Stützle scored arguably the highlight goal of the night, and Montreal got to Linus Ullmark. He was the starter for Ottawa, pulled midway through the game's second period. He got burned 5 times on 15 shots. Anton Forsberg came in, and the Canadiens tested him right away. And Montreal skates off with a 5-2 win over Ottawa. Their last 5-goal effort was back on January 19th in an overtime win over the New York Rangers. So what a wake up, what a way to get back to the groove. Welcome back to the Sean Starr Show live on this Sunday morning. Let's say hello, good morning, Dan. Montreal 5 points out of a playoff spot. Dave Laws bringing some positivity to the show this morning. 37 days until April 1st. And the golf season begins. Let's get going. Good morning, Steph Howard. Nice to see you bright and early this morning. Slafkovsky played the role of Brady Tkachuk last night. We're definitely going to get into that. If Slav can play like Brady Tkachuk, he would be an all-star with that size and a key to a big future. Good morning, Vinny. Good morning, Mark. Hit that like button. Thank you so much, Mark. So, as lots of people have alluded to here, Juraj Slafkovsky, wake-up call. You know, if we go back to his timeline, and we spoke about this, and I hope a few people that were with me yesterday morning are with me today, because there were a few of you on the live show on Saturday morning that called for a Juraj Slafkovsky bust-out performance kind of game. And to me, it was his performance last night that was bigger than the win, because the wake-up calls. We go back to early December. The general manager of the Montreal Canadiens, Ken Hughes, has to pull Juraj Slafkovsky aside. You need to play bigger. You need to use your size. You need to use that leverage, right? And last week, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, it seems almost every week, somebody within the Montreal Canadiens organization is coming out and talking about how Juraj Slafkovsky needs to use his size. He can use his mitts. He can use that leverage they talk about all the time. So yesterday was the game Juraj Slafkovsky showed up to play in. A career high, 8 hits, 5 shots on goal. His second career fight when he dispatched of Ridley Gregg. And we can talk about what we saw from the Montreal Canadiens. Better yet, let's hear from the Montreal Canadiens players in the aftermath of that 5-2 win over Ottawa last night. Here's something with what they had to say, starting with obviously Juraj Slafkovsky.
I don't like my play, and was thinking about during the break, and I had to change something coming back, and it was better today for sure.
Gamer for sure. Big difference maker tonight, and we expect that from him, and now he's expecting that for himself. So it's part of.
So Cole Caulfield talking about that expectation, right, of what people are looking for and what they want to see from a guy like Juraj Slafkovsky, and it wasn't done. We're not done there. When it comes to what players had to say. As a matter of fact, if we go back to the Montreal Canadiens win over Ottawa last night, not only did we see the parade to the penalty box of Juraj's teammates coming to him and congratulating, giving him fist bumps for the fight with Ridley Gregg, it also brought home what the Montreal Canadiens are all about. Like, we talk about it regularly, right? We talk about setting up a culture where these players are figuring out exactly who they need to be and exactly what their roles are here. You don't believe me? Here's Josh Anderson.
Kevin's all the way the next night. Power forward, using his body. Big...
Oh, that's him! That's him! It's actually him!
Potentially him is the line from the Canadiens dressing room after Juraj Slafkovsky gets the honors for player of the game. And we talked about it a little bit yesterday on the live show, that Juraj Slafkovsky spoke about watching the Four Nations saying, I need to be like Brady Tkachuk. I need to play like Brady Tkachuk. And I'm of the opinion that playing like a Brady Tkachuk is something that's ingrained, something you come to the table with every single day. Now, the key is for Juraj Slafkovsky, because a lot of people are of the same opinion today. Zeph, Slafkovsky's best game. Lots of praise for Juraj Slafkovsky, who deserved it. Career high 8 hits, 5 shots, a fight, a goal, gets player of the game honors. The magic, the key to unlocking everything is, can he do it again? As early as Tuesday, when Montreal plays at home against Carolina. The Canadiens will play 3 of their next 4 at home. So that's the key. Can he do that again? It's going to be up to him to figure that out. But the reason to be optimistic is he did it. I thought that was Juraj Slafkovsky's best game as a Montreal Canadien yesterday. I know we've spoken about, how he tosses aside Owen Power in Ottawa and all the things he does. But when you watch that, I don't remember the last time I've ever seen something like that, where a player fights, goes to the box, and the amount of teammates that go to the box to give him a high five and a pat on the back for a job well done was incredible. It shows you how hungry Juraj Slafkovsky's teammates are for that type of performance. And we can talk about Juraj Slafkovsky putting too much pressure on himself, the expectation to be somebody, to live up to the first overall selection, to live up to being the power forward everybody in this market wants him to be, that his teammates want him to be. And the fact that Juraj is, at his age, so open and so honest with where he's at mentally and physically is a breath of fresh air. And I think that's a big reason, in my opinion, why the Montreal Canadiens went out and took a shot on Juraj Slafkovsky at the number 1 overall pick, and why they were comfortable moving past someone like Shane Wright, for example, is the attitude. And I've never knocked Juraj Slafkovsky for the attitude. I love his honesty. I think it's a breath of fresh air. I think he has the right mental makeup to be a player in this market. As we know, if you're of a certain age, you know that Montreal is not for everybody. Playing for the Canadiens sometimes can chew you up and spit you out in a very bad way. And I think Juraj Slafkovsky has it in the space between his ears to be that guy that can do something of substance in Montreal. But the secret, as I mentioned, is being able to take that type of game that we saw yesterday, that everybody in the chat this morning is talking about, as one of the best games he's played, as Morgan correctly points out here. And I've mentioned this on the TSN 690 morning show with my partner Connor McKenna on the regular. Sometimes I get annoyed about he's this age, he's only 20 years old, he's going to be 21. What Morgan points out here is something I like to bring up as well. To me, the age is the age. But the real experience, in my opinion, is the amount of games played at the NHL level. How quickly can you process information? How quickly can you understand the experiences that you're living and get better every single day? And that, to me, was something I've been paying attention to for a while now. Not how young he is, but how many games he's played and what he's doing. And I think the fact that he broke camp as a rookie, the fact that he's always been a Montreal Canadien, and really never had a prolonged period of play at lower levels with Laval Rocket, as an example, who, by the way, lost again to Syracuse. I'll have Sean Campbell on the show all week, and we'll talk about how bright the future is in Laval. So stay tuned for that. More Laval Rocket, young Canadian prospects content coming up on the channel with Sean Campbell this week. So make sure you set your notifications, please, so you don't miss anything. But in the here and now, watching Juraj Slafkovsky continue to try hard to be the player everybody wants him to be, I think personally it's affected how he plays and how he comes to the rink every day. I mean, he admitted a couple of times this season that he was embarrassed. He was embarrassed with how he played, and the fact that multiple times, and that's something that's bothered me a little bit. I thought it was a little bit of a red flag. Like you've played 175 games. How many wake up calls? How many times do you need to be pulled aside and say, hey, what you're doing isn't good enough? It's not up to the standard. Well, the fact is he's still with the Montreal Canadiens. And the fact is that I like how he persevered, how he's taken on these challenges, being called out, not hiding, admitting to people. That's the other thing, too. It's not like reporters are finding out 2-3 weeks later. Juraj Slafkovsky is up to them saying, yeah, the GM pulled me aside. The coach pulled me aside. I wasn't good enough. That type of thing, right? And so knowing that he's been doing that and going through that, and then here he comes calling himself out, his standard this season before the Ottawa game wasn't nearly good enough, was a problem. And the thing is, and I'll bring this to the table, and I'm curious to get your perspective on this, okay? Because I'm going to make this point about why I think it's very good that the Montreal Canadiens have good veterans on their roster. Because there was one thing that Juraj Slafkovsky had mentioned, and I read it in Arpon Basu's piece in The Athletic, that to go along the line of thinking that he was embarrassed with his play and that he'd been called out several times, he admitted to being satisfied with a game, right? Like he said to Arpon in the piece in The Athletic that Juraj Slafkovsky would play a game against whatever team, have a decent game, he'd go home and think about it, said, I played well. I played good, and I was satisfied with that experience. And then it stopped there, right? He's been incapable of delivering time and again those good performances where Uri went home and felt good about how he played that day. And my question is, who on the Montreal Canadiens has enough reps, credible reps, consistent reps of being in a room, being a part of a culture on a team where being satisfied is unacceptable? And I think that's what's important. If we're going to talk about building a culture and building a winning culture in this market and the players responsible for instilling that culture, I think it's important to have players that have experienced a winning culture, that have seen what it's like. And I think the Four Nations break is a good illustration of that for me. Like I thought about it when Sam Montembeault was in goal last night, watching him play. And sure enough, yeah, Ottawa came back to tie the game. And then, Patrick Laine scores on the power play. Brendan Gallagher scored again. Gallagher with another multi-point night. And the Canadiens are off to the races, winning 5-2 over Ottawa, right? And I was thinking about Sam Montembeault. And I was thinking about how cool it must have been. And sure, players always want to play. Players always want to play at any level. Like I'm an amateur golfer. Pretty good. I'm a decent player, single-digit index. But I always want to play. I would rather play than watch 24/7. And I'm a nobody, let alone a professional athlete. So I can't imagine. These guys always want to play 24/7, right? And so when I'm watching how the Canadiens are going about their business, and I'm watching Sam Montembeault in goal, and I'm thinking to myself, it must have been awesome for Sam Montembeault to watch how Jordan Binnington prepares, how Aiden Hill, who is the backup at the Four Nations for Canada, how even he prepares. What are his habits? What are some of the things that make for an interesting routine, in terms of game preparation and all of those things? I believe in the value of experience. I believe in the value of watching players, watching and listening from coaches that have been down the road before and maybe have gone all the way and won titles, multiple titles. And I want to see what their mannerisms are. Like, I'll give you another anecdote. I've played golf a couple of times. One of our old members at the Kanawaki Golf Club was part of the Golf Canada development team, under 18 development team, was a Division I full ride scholarship, won 2 big NCAA Division I golf tournaments at Kent State University, and a phenomenal player, across, 2-time Quebec provincial amateur champion, right? Twice, 2 times, phenomenal player. And he's not going to the big leagues. He doesn't believe he has what it takes. But the best part about playing with a guy that's that good, that laps the field in talent, laps the field. I'm not exaggerating. I love playing with guys like that because of what I think I can learn. And my buddy that I was playing with, I was playing behind him one day. We were playing a Saturday morning game. He was in the group ahead of me, and he set the course record at the Kanawaki Golf Club. Bill Herb, former owner of the course record. And my boy Chris Van Det sets the course on fire. Okay? And I think he shot 61. And I remember on 10, he hit a couple of trees, got out of trouble, saves par, moves on with his life, right? But at no point was there anger, was there frustration, was there, oh, I'm blowing this opportunity, right? I've behaved that way before. When I was 2 under par after 9, thinking, oh my God, I'm finally going to do it. I'm going to fulfill a lifelong dream. I'm finally going to break frickin' par, right? I've been there a few times. I've shot even par 3 times in my life at 2 different golf courses. But the pressure that I put on myself internally because I haven't been there before versus my buddy Chris, who gets in trouble, but knows and has the inner belief and the inner confidence, I can get out of this. No big deal. I've been here before. Who on the Montreal Canadiens, as I bring it back to the Habs now, who on the Montreal Canadiens has been there before, has the calmness in turbulent waters or choppy waters to be that player, to calm it down, that Juraj Slafkovsky can look down a few locker stalls and say, that's how that guy does it. That's how that guy does it. That's the culture the Canadiens are trying to develop here. And it doesn't happen overnight. And I'm not saying that you need to go and trade for Corey Perry. You know what I mean? But you need to start building a culture where you can start getting that valuable experience, where the next players that are coming up, the Michael Hages of the world, the Ivan Demidovs of the world, that they're going to be able to look inside that locker room and follow players as the example of the standard of the culture that they're trying to set here. And that's where I think the age of Juraj Slafkovsky, as I'll bring Morgan's comment back into the forefront here. 20 years old, but 175 games. And that's where the age comes in. That's where the age of being 20, being 21 in March factors in to his development, that he was occasionally, Slafkovsky, satisfied, while also sometimes reflecting back over the 2-week break at how embarrassed he was on how this team was doing, right? And so, yes, when we take it back to how important this was, absolutely, it was a juggernaut. Here, watch again, Josh Anderson, who had himself a game. Happy to see this guy score, going to the net, picking up fat rebounds, putting it back of the net. Josh Anderson, giving it to Juraj Slafkovsky. Listen.
Guy was all over the ice tonight. Power forward, using his body. Big
Power forward, using his body. Look how the team loves it.
It's him! It's actually him! That's it, boys. Randy has to call me out in the morning. So that's it, Randy.
Guy was all over the ice
You
tonight.
see what I'm talking about?
Power forward, using his body. Big
The players see it. That's what I hear. When I see that, that's what I hear. He did it. He finally did it. Cole Caulfield's voice in the background there. I don't know, Randy finally got it out of him, right? Like, whatever that meant. It seems like with Juraj Slafkovsky, who had a bust-out performance against Ottawa last night, it seems like his team, his coaches, the culture, they keep pushing him. They see it. They see that game last night, it's in him. It's in him. And you saw how happy they were for Juraj Slafkovsky to have the game he did, to fight the way he did, to score the way he did, was massive, 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 massive for, seriously, for what they're trying to do in terms of rebuilding a culture in Montreal and with the leaders that this organization has. And again, let's look back to how some of these players talked about Juraj Slafkovsky after that win over Ottawa last night. Here, listen.
This year I don't like my play, and was thinking about during the break, and had to change something coming back, and it was better today for sure.
Gamer for sure. Big difference maker tonight, and we expect that from him, and now he's expecting that for himself. So it's part of growing his game. He's gonna be consistent with that, and we got to let him know and keep it going because that was a pretty special night for him.
So you see how happy everybody is for him? There's Cole Caulfield at the end of that, talking about the relief, the satisfaction. There it is. There's the game from from Juraj Slafkovsky as the Canadiens move on back to the traditional Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday night schedule for the Montreal Canadiens after Brendan Gallagher with a goal and assist, Sam Montembeault 25 saves, Montreal 5, Ottawa 2, Cole Caulfield, Patrick Laine, Josh Anderson and Juraj Slafkovsky also scored, and Nick Suzuki had 2 assists. So Montreal moves on. They've got, as I mentioned already, the Carolina Hurricanes coming up next. And then, of course, trying to see what the rest of their schedule is. I thought I had it. My apologies. I thought I had it down. Yeah, it's San Jose. I forgot. It's Carolina, San Jose, and then at Buffalo Saturday night. The Canadiens are actually going to have a home and home with the Sabres Saturday and Monday next week. So that's what we're dealing with now. So let's get going with some of your comments. We say good morning to our friend Rick Springhetti. Good morning, Rick. Good morning, Rick. Let's see what Rick has to say as I pause for a little coffee break there. Curious to get your thoughts on everything I had mentioned. Don't forget, you can get your beautiful. You see, you know what I like about this mug? You know what I really like about it? It's lightweight and it has a big handle. You see my big Shrek hands? I hold this mug very comfortably. And you can get yours at the SeanStarShow.com. Slafkovsky was fantastic, says Rick. Created a ton of opportunities, played smart, used his skills. I do hope he works on his fighting skills a bit if he's intends on dropping the gloves a little bit more often. That was Slafkovsky's second career fight and handled himself rather well. I love the fact that after he got run over, the instinct in him was to get up and to pound somebody. So I'm good. I'm good with that. Good morning, Sean. I think even if Slafkovsky doesn't have the same type of game against Carolina on Tuesday, if the effort is there, that's a positive to take. Athanasios, I think that's a great perspective to have. You know, for me, you know, you're going to put up a game like that. You're going to call yourself out the way he did. He was embarrassed, didn't like the way he played, yada, yada, yada. Well, then, you know, as my dad used to say when I would moan about something, do something about it then. What are you going to do about it? No one in this world is going to fix it for you. Nobody. Martin St. Louis can't do it. Ken Hughes can't do it. Nick Suzuki can't do it. You know, welcome to the National Hockey League. You got to step up and you got to be the man. You have to figure it out yourself. As Dave Laws reminds us, push those little men around, size win cups, and you can really wear 1,000%. 1,000%, brother. And listen, I don't have a problem with small players. Like, I think Lane Hutson's a phenomenal player. Good game for Lane Hutson. Nice feed to Patrick Laine for Laine's 11th power play goal of the year. And I maintain my opinion I shared with you yesterday. Patrick Laine is the author of the best shot I have ever seen off the stick of a Montreal Canadiens player. And I've seen Stéphane Richer. I've seen Sheldon Surrey. I've seen Shea Weber. Patrick Laine has the best shot of any Canadiens player I have ever seen in my entire life. And he scored his 11th goal there yesterday. But I completely subscribe to Dave Law's law. Size. Push, wear down opposing teams, players all the time. And yes, Cole Caulfield's a smart player. Lane Hutson's a smart player. But you don't want a team full of small little guys, right? Logan Cooley, as Morgan reminds us, is 4 points back of Uri with 43 games in hand. Good morning, Paul. Anderson has been playing great. Do you think the cap going up his contract could be more digestible for a contending team? He could certainly play an important role for a playoff team. Paul, I think you nailed it. I think you nailed it with your comment. 100%. 100%. These are the type of players, you know, I'll apply my Jake Evans law to a guy like Josh Anderson. Unfortunately for him, the cap is a tough number, you know. And, you know, speaking of cap numbers and everything else, Brendan Gallagher is third on the Montreal Canadiens in goals. What do you think about that, Jack? What do you think about that, Billy Boy? Because Cole Caulfield's got 27. Caulfield's got 50 points in 57 games. Nick Suzuki has 15 goals. You know who else has 15 goals? Brendan frickin' Gallagher. So he's tied for second. My apologies. No disrespect. Brendan Gallagher is tied for second in goals on the Montreal Canadiens. And he's got 25 points, half as many points as Cole Caulfield. Both have played 57 games. I mean, can we get a little fist bump for Brendan Gallagher's season, everybody? Brendan Gallagher, multi-point night, 25 points after 57 games and 15 goals, tied for second on the team. Wow. Wow, I did not see that. Senators, says JB, different without Brady. 100%. He sets the tone there, and that's why Juraj Slafkovsky said he wants to be more like Brady, because you can be a tone setter without question. You can be that tone setter. What's up, fuck sakes? My favorite name on this channel. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Good to see you. Costa Tikani Sere? Who's the imposter wearing number 20? Boy, that's the new Juraj Slafkovsky. How dare you? How dare you? Morgan believes Josh Anderson is untradeable. You know, when we talk about, you know, untradeable players and contracts, yeah, it's a problem. It's a problem. But luckily, the salary cap is going up, full stop. So with that in mind, I want to see where the Canadiens were there. Very good night last night. Very, very good night last night across the board. Brendan Gallagher, Cole Caulfield, I thought were phenomenal players for the team in that win yesterday. But I don't think Josh Anderson, as Morgan points out, I mean, untradeable, it would take a lot. It would take a lot. And in terms of retained salary, prospects, and everything else, and this is why we talk about, at least I do occasionally, in terms of, I am not allergic. You want to trade players, Yoel Armia, Christian Dvorak, you want picks in return, I will take your picks. I will take your picks. That's an important part. Slafkovsky's going to be 21 next month. That coffee mug is so nice. I ordered mine. Dude, you're the best, brother. Thank you so much. TheSeanStarShow.com. You can get your mug and join me every Saturday, every Sunday morning. Don't forget, I'm going to have Sean Campbell on the channel and Marco D'Amico on the channel this week. We're going to get into a more Canadiens trade speculation and what we think they're going to do. Montreal 5 points out of a playoff spot as we talk together on this Sunday morning. To me, it doesn't change my opinion. We are looking to sell. And we'll get Marco D'Amico's perspective on some of the rumors. New Jersey, LA Kings, Renaud Lavoie reporting, speculating, maybe is the better word, that Matthew Tkachuk's season might be over. Brady Tkachuk, as we know, didn't play. Ottawa says he's day-to-day. But Matthew Tkachuk, the leader in the Florida Panthers room with Mr. Barkov, his season, according to Renaud Lavoie, might be over. I haven't seen anyone else report on that, but Renaud Lavoie did yesterday during the game. And, I mean, was it the fighting? Was it the fighting against Brandon Hagel where he got hurt and maybe his season is over? I mean, I don't wish anybody's season to be over. Matthew Tkachuk is a hell of a player. And as I mentioned to you guys yesterday, like, if I'm the National Hockey League and I'm the NHLPA, I'd probably give Brady Tkachuk and Matthew Tkachuk a little bonus for a job well done in terms of selling the hell out of the Four Nations. Fantastic stuff. Hockey is less good if Matthew Tkachuk is done for the season, full stop. As much as I do not like the Tkachuk boys, and as much as I enjoyed the Lost in Translation episode we got a little bit yesterday about Arbor Jacki saying he wanted to kick Brady Tkachuk's ass or something like that, but it was misquoted from a TVA reporter. But it didn't change the fact that that's what we thought he had said for about a couple of hours yesterday. I was like, great. I hope Brady Tkachuk plays, and I hope Arbor Jacki goes and beats the crap out of him. Hockey, to me, hockey is a much more entertaining sport when there's more drama. I love the drama. I love the infighting. That's, I kind of miss that a little bit. It was nice when we as Canadians all collectively got together and we all cheered for Brad Marchand and Mitch Marner and all those guys. But now it's back to club activity. It's okay to hate the Ottawa Senators and the Toronto Maple Leafs again. Yeah, he got rocked yesterday, no doubt. That's why he got up. Yeah, even during the rookie turn, I don't find he gets rocked as often as he did. He's still, that's the thing too. As I mentioned, he's learning to play the NHL while playing in the NHL. You're very kind. Thank you very much. Very, very kind of you. Thank you. Just having some fun here. And of course, the show would not be as good if not for your level of participation. I'm sure Brady is pissed and will come out gunning for Juraj Slafkovsky, says Costa. Good morning, Costa. I hope you're right. I back up, with my opinion. Hockey is better when the Tkachuks are involved and engaged, and we're having these little storylines. And an opportunity for the Montreal-Ottawa rivalry to go. Let's go. I am down with you. As Mikey Sears, what's up, Mikey? Bro, my grandma loves Sears, man. My grandma loves Sears. We got the Sears catalog. I used to love the Sears catalog, especially when I was in my early teens, I like those undies and those brassiers. More my thing in those days, But when I see Sears, that's the first thing I think of. I know I know. You can judge me. It's okay. I'm used to it. But yeah, my grandma loves Sears, boy. She used to call that Sears catalog. I used to go pick up stuff because she would order. This would be obviously before the internet and ordering things online. The equivalent to that back in the day, my childhood, was the Sears catalog, and my grandma would call the 1-800 number and order bed sheets and who knows what. Boy, she loves Sears. Miss my grandma. No, he's not. Yes, I know. It's funny, right? Alexander Barkov. We saw him at the Bell Center as the captain of the Finland side, right? It's funny, too. I always think about that, too, Morgan. You're not alone. Can we talk about how well Struble played last night? He was confident in his decision-making and tried to be a factor with Lane Hudson. Okay, being last diehard Habs fan here, but I do think Anderson would be a good fit with the Toronto Maple Leafs. I wonder about that. I wonder, when I look at the Toronto Maple Leafs and I think, what does Toronto need? What does Toronto need? I don't know if Anderson is that guy. Like, part of me thinks that the Leafs made an effort to change their identity to become more of a goalie defensive team. I'm not sure. But if I go back to a point I made earlier, does Austin Matthews, Mitch Marner, do they learn? Mitch Marner watching Connor McDavid and Sidney Crosby get ready for a Game 7 championship round. There has to be, right? There has to be value in being in that environment. And how does Crosby go about his day-to-day business? What's his thing? What are his habits? Where his mind is? Is he a ball of nerves? Is he a calm guy? Like, I believe in that, especially for a guy like Mitch Marner, who's, doesn't have the toughest reputation. Let's put it that way. And watching how some of these winners prepare themselves for a massive game, how they get psychologically prepared for that. Innocent times indeed, my man. Innocent times indeed. Yeah, the old back in the day. Now I feel a little bit more like my grandparents back in my day when things were a little bit more innocent. But yeah, no doubt. Good morning, Peter Puck. Good to see you on this Sunday morning. How about them Habs? Don't forget it. Let me remind you right now that we will have Sean Campbell on. We're going to talk about the Laval Rocket, who lost a game to Syracuse on Sunday. And the Laval Rocket, 32-15, 2-1 now. 3-2 final. As Laval goes 0 for 3 on the power play, had just 18 shots to 43 by Syracuse. And the Crunch are like 22-17. And Montreal found themselves hemmed in. They were undisciplined. Syracuse had 6 power plays in their 3-2 win. And they got 2 goals in that third period to pull away for a 3-2 win. Laurent Dauphin scored with a second left in the third. But Florian Jacki continues his good run of play. So I'm looking forward to talking with my pal Sean Campbell this week as we get ready for the next wave. Like, how bright is the future for a Laval Rocket team that has been so good? Austin Matthews, says Morgan, cost the USA a championship. 0 clutch in that floater. Do you think, listen, I'm no Austin Matthews guy, but let me take a second to defend him here. Austin, it's unfortunate. Unfortunate. I'm glad the Americans lost, obviously. But it was Austin Matthews' man who scored the game winner. I don't think he floated. I mean, we could talk about the clutch gene. He hasn't won a big game, a best on best game. I understand that. And he's obviously 0-4 in those situations. So clutch gene, there's certainly a conversation point there. I agree. But a floater, Morgan, not for me. I wouldn't classify him as a floater. What did he have? 2 primary assists in the championship game. But as I mentioned, unfortunately, it was Connor McDavid, who was Austin Matthews' man, who scores the overtime winner off a feed from Mitch frickin' Marner. I get it, but I wouldn't go as far as to say he's a floater. We can say things about Austin Matthews. for sure. But floater, I not for me. But I understand if that's how you feel. I get it. Back to the Sears catalog. Definitely been there as a 10 to 11-year-old. Low-key erotic content. Rod Langway fan club. What's up, Rod? The Sens were down 3 top forwards. It's still time to sell. No doubt. No doubt. Listen, a win is a win is a win. You know, we can talk about and make excuses or reasons why Ottawa got buried and dominated by the Canadiens in a 5-2 hockey game last night. Ottawa's in a different classification this season as far as I'm concerned. You know, where I'm coming from today is I don't think the Canadiens make the playoffs. I want them to sell. Jake Evans, Yoel Armia, Christian Dvorak, David Savard. If you can find somebody for, I don't know, Mike Matheson or Josh Anderson, I think I have time to listen to those conversations, certainly. And I'll get into that with Marco D'Amico this week I think the Canadiens are going to be busy over the next couple of weeks. But in the here and now, I don't want the Canadiens to lose. Let me make that clear. If there's any confusion, I don't want the Canadiens to tank. That's not what I'm saying. I want them to build good habits. I want to see crumbs on the trail that I can follow that lead me to believe that things are better. Players individually are getting better. The system is working. The right pieces are in place. And if you add a few more, we can level up even more. That's where I'm coming from. Just to make that clear, if there was any confusion whatsoever. Steph Howard, good morning. Victoria's Secret catalog was the holy grail. I don't think I ever saw it. Again, my grandma's Sears catalog, you know? Yes, he did. No doubt, Peter Puck. That was the best game I've seen from Juraj Slafkovsky play. Career high 8 hits, 5 shots on goal. The most shots on goal Juraj Slafkovsky has had in a game this season. And his second career fight, and he scored a goal. So check. And good on him for manning up. I will say Juraj Slafkovsky manned up because he has called himself out numerous times. He has called himself out numerous times for being embarrassed, for being occasionally satisfied. He wanted to be motivated by someone like Brady Tkachuk. He believes in order to be successful in the NHL, you need to find your inner Brady Tkachuk. And that's why I'm comfortable saying Juraj manned up on Sunday. Big time manned up. Because he found his inner Brady Tkachuk. He made a difference in the hockey game using his size, using his hockey smarts, finding passing lanes, good picks in defense, big hits when he needed to make them happen, right? Keeping pressure sustained inside the offensive zone. So that's it. What's up, Jay? Do you think Montreal tries Hudson at forward at some point? He's doing great, but I do worry about playoff hockey. Don't worry about Lane Hudson. Do not worry. I'm telling you, don't worry about Lane Hudson. And absolutely not. I mean, I don't know if this is, we used to have a caller on TSN 690, Peter in Côte St. Luc. And Peter in Côte St. Luc's big thing was 2 things. Peter from Côte St. Luc loved acronyms. And he also loved the idea of putting PK Subban at forward. And when I see this Lane Hudson at forward at some point, no, absolutely not. Lane Hudson's in the Calder race. And will be there until the end of the season, right there with Macklin Celebrini of the San Jose Sharks. But Lane Hudson, to me, has one of the highest hockey IQs on the team right now. And he's played, 59 games for his total career. Oh, thank you for reminding me of this, Peter. I was thinking about this yesterday, and Peter's 100% right. In the second period, at one point, the echoes of ole, 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 if you close your eyes and just listen to the sound, and I asked you, where was this game being played, in Ottawa or Montreal? And I said, don't open your eyes. You would have said Montreal. How embarrassing is that? Can we talk about how embarrassing that is? Like how embarrassing that is in your home arena. You're in a Canadian city, in your home arena, and the opposing team comes in, and the chants from the visiting side drown out your home arena. Yikes. That is so embarrassing. So I would be mortified. It drives me up the wall. Occasionally on a Saturday night, you get the Leafs here on a Saturday night at the Bell Center. And sometimes you hear the go Leafs, go. And it lasts for maybe like go Leafs, go. So by the time the second go is heard, Go, Habs, go. You get drowned out, bro. You don't win that war in Montreal. Maybe you get a little moment in the sun. A little moment in the sun. My gosh. That's I found that embarrassing personally. But that's what happens. You're a capital city, you know? You got a lot of people out of town. A lot of Montrealers go to that game. But you're 100% right, brother. 100% right. I thought it was embarrassing. I can't wait for the Jake Evans trade. I'm tired, bro. You and me both. You and me both. Like there was a moment in time where like I was fascinated by this whole thing, but like now that he's not really producing at the clip that he was producing, I'm like, okay, can we kind of get this going now? Nice to see, by the way, you brought up Jake Evans. Nice to see Emil Heineman back into the fold after he missed 14 games last night. Josh, absolute beast last night. Slafkovsky, best player on the team, hands down. He was right there. Cole Caulfield, Brendan Gallagher also had great games, but I do not disagree, Josh, that Uri was the best player. The Sears catalog was okay, but the 6:30 a.m. morning workout show with the two women wearing ridiculously tight spandex wasn't bad either. I know exactly what you're talking about. Respect. Let's see if Slav can do it for more than a week. Has a problem with consistency, says Chris. You're not wrong, brother. You pay attention 100%, 100%. But that's the magic recipe. Everybody knows it. Everybody was happy for him yesterday. Like, I'll play this again. If you're just joining us, let me take you back into the Canadiens room here for a second with Josh Anderson, who had a great game, scored a goal, looked good doing it, played a physical game. And now watch the reaction, okay? Watch the reaction. Listen to the sounds of the players. Here we go.
Goes all over the X tonight. Power forward, uses his body. Big...
Oh, that's him! That's him! It's actually him! That's it, boys. Randy has to call me out in the morning. So that's it, Randy. That's it, Randy.
Goes all over the X.
You see what I'm saying? See what I'm saying? It's actually him. They want it. They know it's there. You got to pull it out. And the only one that can do it is Uri. Caulfield, Suzuki, Martin St. Louis, Caden Gooley, pick a player on the team. Everybody wants the same thing. They see it. And that's, to me, that's why I'm so optimistic. I'm not that concerned because, as you know, whatever you do for a living, whether you work in radio, whether you work at a call center, whether you work as an accountant, inside your own little profession, inside your world that you know inside and out, you can tell the real ones from the fake ones. I don't give a crap what you do. Doesn't matter. If you are a professional you work on the back of a garbage truck, you can tell somebody that's working their butt off from someone who's loafing and coasting. Doesn't matter what you do. If you are good at what you do, you can tell the ones that are from the ones that aren't. And that's the logic I apply to Juraj Slafkovsky and the Montreal Canadiens. That Slafkovsky's teammates know the full of bleep players from the authentic ones. They know it. And that's why I think it was important to hear how the players responded. You saw the lineup to shake this guy's hand when he fought Ridley Gregg, and you heard it in the locker room in the presentation from Josh Anderson. It's there. It's finally there. They all know it's there. The magic is, as someone pointed out in the chat here, is how do you extract that from him consistently? And the only way to do that is for the player to take on that challenge all the time by himself. By himself. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Here we go. Mikey Sears. Come on, boys. I mean, listen. I mean, come on, bro. Bleu Nuit is a Mount Rushmore moment when I'll never forget when I turned on the TV on a Saturday night and I flipped over and saw the lovely Emmanuel. I'm like, what the hell is this? What is this? So, yeah, that is as iconic. Mikey Sears bringing the fire this morning. Mikey Sears bringing the fire this morning. Shout out Emmanuel. Struble looking much more confident, always taking the space given to him with a powerful stride and his head up. And he is, I've been a Struble guy for a while. I've always appreciated his physicality, and physicality on a regular basis to me is confidence. And it looks like Jaden Struble has found a more confident side to his game. And always understand this. I believe it's still an ongoing process until it isn't. Is auditioning players, whether it's Jaden Struble, Justin Barron as an example that didn't obviously work out, and figuring out, the pieces that you're going to be being capable of putting into place on the regular. Chris Nyland, says Morgan, is always talking about the lack of quote unquote men on the Habs. You can't go deep in the playoffs without them. Thoughts on the lack of veteran leadership? Well, I touched on it earlier when I talked about Juraj Slafkovsky, talking about how occasionally he was embarrassed by his play, how occasionally on the positive side, Slafkovsky would go back home and talk about and reflect back on a game, said, oh, that was good. I was good. I played well and I was satisfied. And he would take that satisfactory approach to the next game and thought, well, just as easy, I could do this all the time. And the point I made for those that are joining a bit late now is the one concern I have is, and it's not so much like the men line, like the Canadiens, I would take that comment more seriously if the Canadiens were like Ottawa. And by that, I mean the owners of the top wild card in the Eastern Conference. The Canadiens are still a relatively young hockey team compared to the rest of the teams in the NHL. That they're still in year 3 of a rebuild. And the fact that they did so well out of Christmas, myself included, I got caught in the honey trap. I'll call that Christmas run a honey trap. And I got caught in the honey trap. It was great. It was a great experience, right? And I think you can learn from that. But I'm not ready to these guys got to be men and that type of wording yet. Like I said, if they were Ottawa and the Canadiens were, ready to make the leap into the playoff picture, then I can understand that. But they're still so young. They're still so young in the rebuilding timeline. I'm not ready for that yet because you're going to attach the lack of men. You can't go deep on the playoffs. The Canadiens don't have the talent to go deep in a playoff run. I don't think they have the goaltending caliber to go deep in a playoff run. So that I would slightly disagree with the legend that is Chris Nyland. I just think the timing is wrong for that type of opinion. Oh, no disrespect intended to Chris Nyland, of course, who's a cult figure and a legend in the Montreal market. I see things a little differently in my non-NHL experience opinion, right? But the point I had made earlier is I like experience. I like players that can learn from experienced players, good leaders, good character guys. And you're trying to build a culture in Montreal. And the question I have is when Juraj Slafkovsky admits to being satisfied with a mediocre game, who in the Habs room can help him understand that that's not good enough here? I think Nick Suzuki could speak to that. I certainly think David Savard could speak to that. If you want to talk about, or Chris Nyland wants to talk about men, David Savard is a man. He's won a Stanley Cup. He's a leader. He's a valued teammate. You want to start culture. So that's the thing, if we're talking about a rebuilding team and we're talking about veteran leadership, I think that's what they mean specifically when we talk about culture is these guys learning together, they lose together, they face adversity together, and then ultimately the belief is that they're going to win together. And that, my friends, will be leadership. Having gone through it a couple of times and knowing what it takes to come out of it clean on the other side, that is leadership. That's developing leadership, and that's where the Canadiens are, in my opinion. Trade deadline. Sunday this year, salary cap going up. Look for hockey trades this year. Hopefully, my gosh, thank goodness. Thank goodness. From your lips, brother. From your lips. Yeah, we were. Brendan Gallagher had a fantastic game yesterday. One of the best forwards, no doubt, on the Montreal Canadiens yesterday. Here's a question. Did hosting the Four Nations Cup in Montreal and the reception players got make it more appealing for places, more of an appealing place for free agents, etc.? I brought this up on the morning show with Connor this week. And I believe the answer is yes. I believe the answer is yes to that question. I believe that whether it's, again, that infamous culture we talk about, or whether it's being in a market that appreciates great hockey and meaningful, impactful games, and there's no better place to play to create an environment like that than right here in Montreal. So I do believe that if there's a player that played a game representing their country in the Four Nations, that when they're looking around, like when Mario Lemieux was brought out, and they're looking around and they're talking about and hearing and feeling the energy in the arena, I do think that's valuable. I really do. I think that is very valuable. And you want to believe that, a potential free agent that experienced that said, man, I'd love to be in a market like this, play in a city like this when the games matter the most. Yeah, it definitely sounds like wishful thinking. I just want to take a moment here to remind you, as always, that you can head over to theshawnstarshow.com is where you'll find our website, and you can easily find some of our outstanding high quality merchandise, whether it is the black snapback hat, the two-tone hat, or that 11-ounce completely microwavable dishwasher safe ceramic mug with high quality embroidery throughout their hats as well. You can order it at theshawnstarshow.com. You can support me by supporting our channel as we pour everything we can back into the youtube.com program just to make it a little bit better. As you can see here, it's an 11-ounce microwavable, nice wide handle. So if you're like me, you got those big Shrek hands. It's a nice wide handle. You can hold it comfortably without any fear of burning yourself. No third-degree burns here. And of course, this nice little two-tone hat. You can see the nice quality embroidery that we have done here. And again, it's that nice, easy snapback. So one size fits all. And you can order yours simply by going to theshawnstarshow.com. So thank you so much for being with us today. We had a great contribution from everybody involved. Thank you so much for being a part of the Sunday live stream. Don't forget, every Saturday, every Sunday, you can find me live here. And as always, during the course of the week, we will have daily Montreal Canadiens content, starting with Sean Campbell this week as we get ready for the home stretch the next 2 weeks, and the Laval Rocket coming off a loss. Let's talk about the future stars of the Montreal Canadiens and how they're doing. So look forward to Sean Campbell as we dive a little deeper, get into the weeds on the Laval Rocket and the next wave of Canadian players. And then, as always, also this week, myself and Marco D'Amico from RG Media as we get set for a very busy 2 weeks, a very, very busy 2 weeks. And I'll end it here. Alex Gagne asking, do I want the Canadiens to make the playoffs or get a high pick in the draft? Listen, they're 5 points out of a playoff spot. I don't think they're going to make it, but I also don't want them to lose. So I think that answers your question. I am not on Team Tank. I want reps. And I've said this for months. You can go back to my early content in November. In November. I want this team to play meaningful games in a month from now. That's what I want. And if that means playoffs, great. If it means game number 82 means they get in or they don't get in, great. That's what I want. I want this team to play games that matter. When somebody earlier asked me, I think it was Morgan, one of the comments Morgan made about playoff experience, that's how you get experience, by playing games that matter, right? When Montreal was playing well out of Christmas and that unbelievable ride, right? And then you had the entire country paying attention to the Canadiens over 17 games and picking up the most points of everybody else. Let's be honest. How did they do when it seemed like the entire hockey world was talking about them? Not great, right? So more reps with pressure. Insubordinate and academic dropping a 5 spot. Brother, lattes on you today. Thank you as always. The most supportive community on youtube.com. Could not do this without you guys. And as I mentioned again, all the proceeds that we do here don't go into vacations and steakhouse dinners. They go into making the youtube.com show just a little bit better. So thank you so much for all your generosity throughout the course of the week. Catalog debauchery aside, consumers distributing is the Cadillac of catalogs. The Sears catalog is the Lane Hudson of catalogs. Oh my gosh. I would, you guys are the best. You guys are the best. Okay, being last. Yeah. Hour-long shows deserve 16. Listen, this is an 11-ounce mug. I used my Keurig machine this morning, 10 ounces in this bad boy. And you see, I told you, look, you see, I have the big Shrek. I got big Shrek hands. And you see, that's what I love about this. That's what I love about this. I love about this mug. Nice, big. Look at that. I fit 3 of my sausage fingers in there. So easy. Cheers, everybody. Order yours at theshawnstarshow.com. Theshawnstarshow.com. Sean Campbell, Marco D'Amico coming up on the program. YouTube.com. Hit that like button. Don't forget that you can set the notifications up. And somebody, I just got distracted by this comment. Sean, you should set up a pay system. I don't know how I feel about that. Like I have a JOB, you know? I don't know, like pay system. YouTube, I don't even like. I forget what the split is, but it's all good. You know, I'm not doing this to get rich. We're doing this to make a community, and I love doing the challenge. I find it lots of fun, engaging, and putting up fun graphics and playing with technology and talking to you guys all the time. So that's why I do it. Money comes in, the money comes in, and we just put it back into the show as we always do. Whether we're buying merchandise, we're buying hats, we're buying mugs, we're buying two-tone hats. Everything we do just gets put back into the program, right? So that's where I'm coming out. I'm not motivated by the dollars. So thank you so much for being a part of this show. Again, Sean Campbell, Marco D'Amico will fill your content on our program all week long. Thanks for being with us on this Sunday. Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy your families. And I'll see you this week. And don't forget, we're live every Saturday, every Sunday. Have a great day, everybody.